Here's Begonia barsalouxiae, a species that you can see that I'm growing just as a houseplant. My household humidity is around 45%, which has proven to be just sufficient for this plant. So that's kind of why I'm so excited about it. It's a species that can be grown just out in the open so that you can enjoy these beautiful leaves. I'm sorry there's cat hair on everything, as always. But look at that gorgeous emerald and blue. Lots of stripiness and mottling and just beautiful, beautiful plant. I love the blue. The blue is present no matter what the light, so you don't need a flash to get this blue. It's always there. You can glance at it and enjoy this gorgeous plant. The blue color did come out more prominently as this matured. When they're young, they're a little more pale, so you have to be patient and just deal with that pale green. They also, when they're young, will have kind of more of this bronzy, but as it matures, you get this lovely blue, well worth the wait. This will also grow really well in a more humid environment, like a greenhouse or a tent or a cabinet, but you need to make sure that there's amazing airflow. In my experience, growing it in a closed terrarium just resulted in a lot of melting. New leaves melted way before they were able to size up. Like when they were much smaller than this one, they would melt. So when I took it out of the closed terrarium, I finally started to get the leaves developing and growing and sizing up. But it does well in higher humidity as well. I suspect I wouldn't have this crisping here or this spotting if I had a little bit more humidity going on. But it's so pretty that I love being able to grow it as a houseplant. And I do sacrifice the perfect leaf in order to be able to just glance over at it and enjoy it. In terms of care, it's fairly straightforward, fairly easy care. I have it in a good, chunky, sharp drainage mix, not chunky like aeroids, but amended with lots of little particles to increase and aid in drainage. I like to use pumice and black lava rock and akadama in lots of my begonias. Perlite also works really well, but I just love the rocky stuff. So many begonias come from pretty rocky habitats, so I've gotten really into using lots of rock for those that are lithophytic, or even if they're not, and they seem to love it. So I water this one very, very thoroughly once I see some dryness starting on the surface. If it's dry, about halfway down the pot, I'll give it a really thorough watering. I do let it dry out fairly well, kind of that approach dryness where there's still some moisture in the mix. And then I water it really thoroughly. Don't let it get dusty. This plant will not appreciate a dusty soil, but it will also not appreciate a constantly wet soil. So just finding that balance is important. I feed it very regularly using orchid fertilizer, which I use on most of my begonias. I use reverse osmosis water, and then I use the MSU orchid fertilizer that's formulated for reverse osmosis water. I feed it at about quarter to half strength almost every time I water, and then maybe every third or fourth watering I'm flushing with clear water. And then lots of my plants also get kelp about once a month, and some sort of probiotic supplement. Quantum is one, and Revitalize is another one I use with different bacillus strains. And I'm not 100% sure if it helps, but since I've started using it, I've definitely had a great growth over the last year of using these products. And I don't know if it's due to the kelp or the quantum or what, but I love them both. And I do use them. I have not had a lot of problems with rot or, fungal problems. And I do think that is thanks to some of those probiotic supplements I'm using. I don't worry about rot that much, but I'm also not an overwaterer. I tend to be an underwaterer, which certainly helps. So I'd recommend you try this plant if you ever see it anywhere. It's hard to believe that nature just made this. It's just so beautiful. I hope you like it.